I mean, this JSP and all. So let me see some more flows. Right? We have given model map. Right? There is one more thing. You'll have one more thing, which is called there's one more thing which is called model and view. Okay. So I'll tell you one more scenario. Let me see this, what this model map contains. So this model map, that key values stored in model map can be accessed anywhere. I mean, can be accessed in the JSP. Which JSP? This JSP. Okay, the name of this JSP. Suppose now I'll do one more scenario. I'll write one more thing, which is called, I'll say public model and view. Okay. I will also just give like get something like departments, right? Here I'll say value equal to departments. And here I'll say okay, and sorry, just 1 minute. I request mapping. Right? Request mapping. Get departments. I'll say model map. Map. And if you see here, what we are doing here is, instead of string, we are returning a model and view. What is the difference? I'll tell you. So this model and view is in class part of your Spring Framework package. Okay. So here what I do is, I'll write one method now. So just like how I'm writing get employees, I'll write departments. Right? Right? I'll say get departments. And I'll create a class for a department. New class department. I'll say private string department ID. Private string department name. Right? So I'll just generate setters and getters. Source generate getters and setters. See here, what I'm doing now is now I instead of just like this, how I'm returning a list of employees. Now I return list of department. That's all. So what I'll say, department equal to new department, right? Then I'll say department dot set department ID D100. I'll say department dot set a department name. I'll say IT department. I'll create one list also, array list of departments is equal to new array list. Now I'll say departments dot add of department, right? Now I'll also create one more department object, which is D101. I'll say finance department. And I'll say, then I'll return departments. Right? That's all. See, just like how I did for employees, I'm doing for departments. That's all. Same thing. So instead of employee object, we'll say now department object. Right. Now, here what I'll say is employee service dot get departments. I'll say list department. Departments is equal. Okay. Like how I'm calling get employees like this, I'll now say departments. Now what I'll do, I'll just put now map dot, right? Map dot add attribute, right? Map dot add attribute of what I'll say now, department data, and I'll say departments. This is the key and this is the value. So in JSP, I'll be referring with this key name. Now, see now what we're doing is now, see the difference is I'm here returning string, I'm returning model. So let me create one model and view. Model and view. I'll tell you what is this one. So new model and view. Okay. I'll just say departments, comma, or department, comma. Here I'll say map. Now you see, and I'm returning here model. What is the difference between this one and this one? If you see here, Now, if you see here, suppose when I invoke this URL, okay, it will get executed. Suppose now when I invoke this one, this method gets executed. Suppose if I say localhost 8080/spring mvc demo1/departments. This is your IP address, host name, port number. This is your application name and URL. This is your application name. Okay, this is your API path. You can say path, URL path. And this is your host name and port. Host name, port. Now, if this request URL pattern is matching with this, now this method gets executed. Now it will get the departments. Now I'm creating a map, like how the same thing. Okay, the same how I did here. The same thing I'm doing here. But the only difference is till here same. Till this part same. But only the difference is, I mean, of course, this is employee and this department. Here, this will be returned as a string. This is a string which will map to your internal resource view resolver, and it will resolve to employees.jsp. Employees.jsp. Right? So whatever the string that you give here, so that is JSP. Here also what will happen is, now this will return a model and view object. Okay, this will return back to your dispatcher servlet. Okay, it will return back to your dispatcher servlet. Right. So dispatch servlet, what it will do, it will actually take this model and view object. It will take this as the view name, and this will be the model object. Right. So that means there should be a JSP present with this name. Now there should be a JSP present with this name, which is department.jsp. Now in this JSP, we can access this model object. So the difference is, only thing is here we are putting both the view name and the model in one. We are encapsulating. Okay, this is encapsulation. Encapsulating, or we can say binding view name and model in one object, which is model and view. Encapsulating or binding view name and model in one object, which is model and view. That's why you might ask which one we have to use. Anything is okay. If you do like this also is fine. Anything is fine. Only thing is, Spring is providing this object so that we can bind this view name and model in one object. Okay, and return. So, but anything is fine. You can do like this, or you can do like this. Anything should be fine. Now we'll have one department.jsp now. Let me have one department.jsp. right? And now we'll have no employees.jsp. Here we'll have department.jsp. And here I'll say the employee, the department details, right? And here I'll have department ID, department name, okay? And in my employee handler, I'll just refer this key, right? Sorry, this key. This is the key, right? For model key, this is the key, right? This is the key. With this key, we'll be referring because this is the map key. So with this key, we'll be referring, right? In the JSP, so we'll get this value. So in my department.jsp, I'll say department data. And here I'll say department. Now I'll say here department, right? This very reference object, I'll say department ID. So department name, right? That's all. So let me start it. I'm starting it, okay? What I'll do now, I'll say localhost localhost 8080 / spring mvc demo 1 / departments, right? Everyone understood? It is similar to yesterday's example only, but only thing is we are using model and view, but you can use either way. You can use like this or you can use like this. So this is the key you'll be referring because this is your map with this key. This key should be used here. Mostly this is used actually. I mean, even this also is used because this is like kind of your encapsulating. You're doing an encapsulation here, like a kind of in best practice like that. Okay. All right then. So everyone clear with this? Okay. Everyone clear, right? So now let us go to Let us go to one more flow. See, you might have seen in many web applications, okay, you might have seen in many web applications, form submissions, right? What are form submissions? Okay, anyone still? Form submissions. See, you might have gone to, let us take you open some website, right? Some registration form. You might have seen this in many applications. Okay, where you will be entering the, suppose when you're signing up for a new user registration, or when you're creating a new account, okay, you'll be filling up some form. Say in banking account, you'll create some form. Or when you want to create some insurance, you'll create some forms. So what you'll be using here, you will enter your name, right? Next, there will be a text field, right? Next, you will be entering your some age or date of birth, okay, anything. Okay, so there will be some calendar and you'll select that one. Then you'll enter some qualification, right? Then there will be some form. Then there will be some address, right? Generally, in any registration forms, you'll have this kind of fields. And then when you click on submit, so you'll fill up all these details. And when you click on submit, all this data will go to your server, backend server. Okay, some server, backend server, right? And all this data will be stored in the database. Okay, data, right? So this is what we call form submission. This is what we call form submission, right? So we are going to see this kind of example now with Spring mVC. How we are going to build this kind of scenario with Spring mVC. Right? Please add one picture also, one pic also, where face most problem on retrieving picture. Yeah. For picture, I'll tell you, there is one more example I'll tell you for uploading and downloading images. I'll tell you that, okay? Don't worry. There is one more example how we can upload a picture and how you can download the picture, or not only picture, file or anything. Okay, I'll show you. So now let us now start this. So we'll be using JSPs. So what I'll do is let us take one student registration form. Now let me now go to the controller, create a class called student handler, right? And here I'll say @ rest controller, sorry, controller, sorry, controller. And here I'll say @ request mapping. And here I'll say show student registration form. Okay, this is the URL, show student registration form. So now what I'll do now, I'll say public string show registration form. Okay. I'll just say return student registration form. Right. I'm just invoking this URL that will return this string. That means there should be a JSP with this name, right? Now create a JSP with this name. So new file .js. Right. Now, so here I'll say HTML. Okay, this is a HTML with form submission. Now, you know what I'll be using, See, generally, how I do, generally, if you see, I'll have a body. Now I'll say form action equal to, I'll say process form, right? And then I'll say, then what I'll say, input, I'll say first name, I'll say input type equal to text. Okay, this is a text field, okay? Then I'll say something like name equal to first name. Okay, I'll take a break now. Why break? Because after 2 lines, it should come. Next, I'll say last name. So last name. Okay, next I'll say age like this. Okay, so what I'll do is, suppose I do like this. Let me do like this. And here I'll say, so input type equal to submit, value equal to submit. Right? So like this. Suppose, say, for example, I will just stop this. I'll restart the server. I'll click on the show student registration form. Okay, you got these details, right? First name, last name, submit. Right? So what you'll do now, if you will enter some data here, first name, last name, click on submit. Where this will go? This will go to You know how this form has come? I invoked this URL. I invoked this URL. Now this URL, this URL is matching to the this one. So this URL is matching to this one. Right now, this will return this JSP page. Now we have in the JSP page. Right, this is your JSP page. This is your JSP page with this name. So if you see here, what I'm having a form action first name. So that will display like this. You see, first name with a text field, last name with a text field. Next, submit button. When I enter these two and click on submit, where it goes to the process form. This is again a URL. This is again a URL. Right? This is again a URL. I mean, that means there should be URL, there should be a request mapping with this URL. So that means in my student controller, now I'll have a request mapping. Process form, right? Process form. Right? So here I'll say public, I'll say string process form data. Right? So here I'll take HTTP servlet request. Right? So all these parameters will come in the form of request, right? Now see, one by one we'll read. String first name. I'll say request dot get parameter of whatever this name I have given, this name. When I say request dot get parameter of this, whatever the value, okay, whatever the value that I enter here, so that will be read. When I say request dot get parameter of last name, whatever the value that I entered will come here. So now I'll say request dot get parameter of first name. Next string last name. Request dot get parameter of last name. Right? Okay. Then once I get this, I will save this data to database, right? Right. So, but now I'm not doing that. I'll just print it. System dot out dot println first name then I'll say system dot out dot println last name last name. Now I'll return again I'll return to this page on student registration form. Okay. Now again I'll start this one. I'll restart now. Okay, now let me refresh this. Right. Now what I'll do, I'll just say Kiran Kumar. Right? I click on submit. It is coming to the same page. I'll see whether it is printed. Yeah, see, first name is Kiran, last name is Kumar. It is printed. So how it is coming, you see here. So first I take this. So here, okay, this URL is coming. Once I enter this data, now it will go to this URL. So now this process form is mapped to here. And when I say request.get parameter of first name, what are the value that is entered? That means this should match with this. So what are the value that I entered will be read here. And when I say request.get parameter last name, so what are the value that I enter should match here. And then I'm printing it. And so this is returning back again the same. It is again returning back to the same JSON. But in Spring mVC, this is a normal way. We can do more than this actually. This is what you do in normal advanced Java, in your normal servlets and JSPs. See, now we have only two elements in the form. We are reading like this. Only first name and last name. See, this name should match with this, and this should match with this. What happens, say, for example, if you have more than 10 elements like this, there is a larger form with more than 10 fields. So here we have to read all the 10 fields like this. But in Spring mVC, we can do more easily than this. So instead of actually writing like this, okay, instead of writing using, these are your normal form tags. These are your normal HTML form tags. Normal HTML form tags. So instead of that, we can use Spring form tags. We can use Spring form tags. So what is Spring form tag is? Let me show you. Okay, so I'll just comment out this part. And I'll write Spring form tags. Now to import Spring form tags, I'll use a library here. I'll say taglib. Okay, taglib prefix equal to form, URI equal to HTTP www.springframework.org/tags/form like this. Taglib prefix equal to form, URI equal to HTTP Spring Framework tags form. So this is part of your Spring form tags, where will be, it is just like you are importing in Java, you use like import package, right? Just like you are importing this library. Now what I'll do is, now I'll use like this first name. Now instead of form action, I'll do like this. Form action is equal to process form. I'll say form. I'll close this. Now you see, instead of this is your normal form, this is your Spring form. I'll tell you what is the advantage of this. Okay, this is your Spring form. This is your normal HTML form. And now say, now under this, I have now first name, this one, right? Let me take this first name. Now, instead of input type equal to text, in Spring, in Spring form, what I will do is, I'll say like this, form colon, input path equal to first name. I'll say like this, form input path equal to first name. Instead of having like this, instead of input type equal to text name equal to first name, so I'll say in form input path equal to this name. Name is like path here. And whatever input type equal to text, I'll say just form input. Okay. So this break, we'll put break y to come into the new line. See, just like how it has come into the new line. After this, a break, new line, next break. So two breaks are there here. Let me write another break. Similarly, take last name. The same thing now I'll say form input path equal to last name. Right? And then let me put another thing, age also. Now I'll say form input equal to path age. Right? Now next another form, another element I'll say postal code. Right? And here I'll say form input equal to postal code. Right? Now I will also say course code. See, this is a student registration form for a training program. Okay. So we are developing a student registration form for a training course actually. Okay, where student can register into the training course. So that's why we'll have a course code. Course code. Okay. Next, what is next? We'll give like qualification. I'll say form input path equal to qualification. Right? And then I'll say city. Okay, now see till now we are seeing only text fields. These are your text fields. But now I can select a drop down. See, I can actually select, see, there will be display of drop down like a combo box where you can select multiple. I can opt this training program in multiple cities. I can choose 2 or 3 cities also. Okay. So what I'll do is, I'll just say city. I'll give form select. So these are for your drop down. Okay. Then I'll say multiple equal to true. Right. Then path equal to cities. Right. So this is your drop down where I can select multiple values. Okay. So where I can put multiple values. So you can use like farm radio button. Okay. You can use like that. Farm colon radio button. Okay. Now Spring form select multiple equal to true, path equal to cities. And here I'll just say form select. Right. Okay. So we can put radio button and everything. Okay. Okay, we can add that also, not an issue. I'll add that. So what I'll do is, so gender I'll say. I'll say form radio button. Okay. So path equal to gender. Right? That's all. Right. So path equal to gender. And but we should get what is that, right? So I'll show you that. Now, let me stop this. Let me start this. And I'll say here, process form. You see, got an error, right? So neither binding result nor plain target object for bean name command available as request attribute. Okay, I'll tell you what is this. So to show you this error only, I came. So what I'll do is here now. Now I'll create one student object here. New class student. Now here I'll say private string student ID, right? Now if you take here, okay, first name. So whatever the properties that you are using here, this should match with this. Use exactly. Private string last name, right? Private string age, next private string, whatever you are giving this, these are your property, form properties. Okay, you have to give here. So I'll tell you what this is. So now I'll say next is private string, right? I'll say course code. Next I'll say private string qualification, right? Next, what is the next one? Next I'll say cities and then gender. Okay, I'll take break here. Break. So this will be your cities. Cities will be your, we can say list actually. This is because I can select multiple cities for the training course. I mean, I can attend in, okay, so this will be your, so what I'll do is now, so private, I'll say list of string cities. Next, what is next one? Gender, right? Gender. So now give this gender here. Private string gender. right? Now let me now generate setters and getters. Right click on this source, generate getters and setters. Generate. Just copy paste up. Right. So entered all the details. Now go to your now what I'll do is now you see here in my student handler, here I'll say @ model attribute. I'll tell you what is this @ model attribute of student, right? And I'll say student. I'll tell you what is this. I'll give @ model attribute student of student. And here also, instead of HTTP servlet request, I'll say model attribute student, student, student. Okay, I can remove all. This is not required. Right? So instead of that, I'll say student dot get to first name, student dot get to last name. I'll say like this. And then what I'll do is here. What I'll do here, I'll say model attribute in the form. Here I'll say model attribute equal to student. I'll tell you what is this, okay? Right. That's all. I'll tell you what is this, okay? Let me run it first. So just start. I'll just say like this. See, I got the data, but some with not proper. Right? So I mean, this is this only, but somehow I got the form. See, what I'm doing is now, I'll tell you, what is this model attribute? So now, go to your student and from where the flow starts, from here, right? So this is your flow. So where you will type in the URL, process form, sorry, show student registration form. Right? In the URL, you'll say, so show student registration form. Right? So now what this one will do is, so this URL pattern is matching with this. And what this model attribute student will be doing is, now this model attribute is a kind of where the form data can be associated with a Java object. So whatever you are submitting the form data, whatever you're submitting this form data, automatically the values that you are entering in these fields will be set in your object properties. That means let me again explain you. So this is a form data that can be also Java object. So a new object will be created, and now that will be redirected to a JSP page, right? In JSP, what we have? So this is your JSP page, right? So this is your JSP page, right? I'll just remove this. Okay, this is a JSP page, right? I think select is wrong here. Select should be part of, right? In generate is there. Select I have put here. So now what will happen, now whatever this student, this object is attribute is passed, is mapped here. So what will happen, automatically your Spring, what it does, that's why the Spring form tags are used. Now, what are the values that you enter here? That means, what are the values that you enter here in the form field? Okay, what are the values that you enter in the form field? Automatically, automatically all the data. So, for example, you're entering first name as some Kiran, last name as you are entering. Okay, this is a text field. You are entering as Kumar. You are entering the age, postal code, and all that. Now, what will happen? Now all this data that you enter, your Spring automatically sets all this property data into the student object. So where is your student object? This is your student object, right? All these are your properties. Automatically it will be set in your Java student object. So that is the reason these property names, what are these text field names, should match with these properties. So this should exactly match with this. So this exactly should match. So then what it will know, your Java, automatically your Spring mVC will read all these values, whatever you entered, and bind to the student object. See, you don't need to write like this, calling a request.get parameter of first name, request.get parameter of last name, request.get parameter of age. You don't need to read every parameter. Automatically, these values will be bind to this Java object. So that is what this model attribute does. So first, it creates a new object, and you are referring that object here. So now the Spring form tags, what they do, whatever the values that you enter in these forms, that means these values, whatever you enter the values here, so these values are automatically set in these properties of this object. Okay, and then that object is passed now along with this process form submission. Now in process form, in your process form now, you have this one now. In your process form, what it does now, in your process form, so whatever this model attribute student, so this will be matched here. And now the student object will have all the property values that are entered. Now that's why you can directly call student.get first name, student.get last name directly. Because your Spring in the backend will, whatever the values that you enter in these text fields, will be automatically calling internally the setter properties of this object and set the values. Now directly in the process form, that means after submission of this form, that URL will go here. And here you can refer that model attribute again. You can capture that student object. Now this object will have all the values written. So here, when it is going to the registration form, this is a new object, a empty object. After you enter the values and submit the form, now this object will have all the values, and you can print all these values. So you don't need to write separately like this. It will save a lot of time. That Spring is facilitating for you. Automatically, whatever the values that you enter will be bind to the student object. Okay. So now what I'll do is now, yeah. So now let me start again now. So I'll just say show student registration form. Okay. Now, okay, city, gender. Okay, fine. Okay, we'll fix this later. Suppose I'll say Kiran. Okay. So some 45 postal code, something like course code, Java, qualification. I'll say MTech. So like this, I'll say, where's your submit button? Okay, submit button is not there, right? Okay, okay. Okay, without submit button, there is no submit button. We should have that one, right? Without that, how we'll submit? Okay, I can use a normal submit button for this. Okay. So input type equal to submit, value equal to submit, right? Right. So let me now start again. Now let me now restart the server again. Okay, I'll give a break here. Let me now restart. Now I'll say just again, once again. Now I'll say Kiran. So I'll just say 45, something like this. Java, right? Now I click on submit button. Okay. Right. Yeah, you see, I got whatever the first name, last name, directly I got the values. So it has gone to the process form. It has gone to the process form. I'm not reading any request parameter. So directly your Spring has automatically, whatever the values that you enter here will be automatically bind to the student object. And from student object, we can get the first name, last name. So what are the values that I entered has come. So I did not printed all this. I'm capturing only these two, right? So if I print student.getAge, I'll get all this. So city, gender also will see why these values are not coming. I mean, I know that why these values are coming. We have to do some addition. See, in city, we should populate some predefined values here, like Hyderabad, Bangalore. Those values should come in this dropdown. Okay. So we'll see tomorrow on Monday. We'll continue on Monday. Any doubts till now? Any questions? Any questions till now? Any doubts? Any questions? Everyone clear? Whatever I told you? Okay, this one radio button and these values I will tell you tomorrow. I'll continue. See, by the end of this mVC course, right, I'll share you one real-time project also. Okay, you can use that project and you can enhance that project also, and you can put in your resumes also. Okay. No, last update is not on March 9th. I think 3 days back I uploaded, right? Everyone got it? I think 4 days back I uploaded it. Right? Yes, 4 days back I got uploaded. No. I think you are seeing a old Google Classroom link. See, everyone is able to see 3 days back notes. Yeah, this is your employee handler class. You want me to share the link? Huh? Yeah, anyone can share the link. I have to see in the email. Can you send me the link? I'll share to this person. Google Classroom link, can anyone share here? Google Classroom link, can anyone share here in the chat? Because it is there in my mail, I have to see. Anyone can share in the chat the Google Classroom link. No, the new classroom link I shared actually, right? I'm uploading the notes frequently also. See, just share the new classroom link, which I uploaded in the class notes 3 days back. Is this one? Is this one, Sandeep, that you shared is correct? Is this the latest one? Okay, fine. Fine then. Okay, I'll send you this one. See, to everyone I'm sending you. See, this is the latest one. You can see the last 3 days back I uploaded in the classroom. Take this. I sent you just now. Everyone got? All right then. Okay. So thank you all. See you on Monday. Okay then. Thank you all. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you on Monday.